Hey everyone, I just wanted to pop on here quickly and talk a little bit about self-care. I know it's been a big area of focus for me in the work that I'm doing lately because of educators being overwhelmed, parents being overwhelmed with kids at home, working, not working, all the school changes, all the unknown that is coming this fall, the school starting back up, summer programs, all this chaos. So it's really important for me to share my knowledge on self-care for adults so that they can put things in place to neutralize and ground themselves to be available for children so that we can teach them how to manage their strong emotions. But what I wanted to get on here and talk about today was a little bit of a shift away from adult self-care, but still the topic of self-care. It's more on the topic of self-care for children. So I actually had someone ask me this, I think about a week ago. Did a workshop on self-care. Part of my work with adult self-care is teaching people about themselves, because if you know who you are and what makes you tick and what you're passionate about and what you feel aligned to, what your core values are, then it's much easier to put self-care practices in place that make you feel better because you know who you are. With kids, that's not so easy. So normally I would have adults take a personality test and determine their core values. Kids can't quite do that. And if anyone knows anything about children's personality tests, I don't know that they exist. If anyone knows of any programs that offer like something like a Myers-Briggs down to the level of a child, outside of like a reinforcement inventory for a child, let me know or let us know. Maybe throw it in the comments here. But I want to talk a little bit about what can we do for kids for self-care. And sorry if you can hear my sirens in the background. I live right next to a fire station, so welcome to reality and working at home. Kids self-care. So if you don't know, the kids don't know quite like who they are, what their values are, what feels aligned for them, my approach with kids has been more of a trial and error of trying a bunch of different things and seeing what they respond well to and what clicks for them and what doesn't. So I just get a whole toolbox of options, and whichever tools they want to pull out at different times, that's what we do. So here are a bunch of options. Specifically, we're talking more about like sensory motor and sensory integration strategies, because these strategies, this is important, these strategies are known to repair neurons in the brain, cells in the brain, that are damaged from stress and trauma. So think about all the stress, the anxiety, the heaviness of stuff going on for us and how we're struggling to deal with all of that, how much harder that is for kids. And we know that stress can reduce the likelihood of cells wiring together and firing and learning, and that's all these detrimental health risks associated with it. So how do we repair those neurons and make them more ready to fire, wire, learn, all of these things? We do so by integrating sensory strategies into their lives. Think of it as like you have exercise as a routine and you consider your diet. Sensory motor integration is the same thing. You need a diet of these sensory strategies included in your daily life or their daily lives, and you practice them every day and embed them as part of their routines to neutralize and balance them. So what are some examples of sensory motor strategies now that we know how important they are? Tons of options, and I actually just published a blog post on a handful of options, and I'll link that in the comments below. But I mean, we think of our senses as like our five senses. There are like, I believe, 71 different senses, so many senses. And so start by thinking about your five senses and what would be an activity a child can do that ties to those five senses, and then beyond that. So examples might be like some heavy work or some resistance work. So pushing, pulling, lifting, carrying, things of appropriate resistance and weight. I will sometimes have kids just like move a stool, move a plant, move a trash can across the room just to get that resistance work in, even if I don't really need it to be moved. That's not the point. They think they're helping and they feel gratification and they feel important because they're being a part, but really I just want them to get that sensory input from pushing something kind of heavy. So just make sure it's appropriate for their size and body weight. But that would be your heavy work, your resistance. They could do wall push-ups, they could do those crab crawls, they could do chair dips, They could do chair push-ups, any type of exercise for adult that you can bring down to the level of a child. And granted, they may not be interested in just like wall squats, but if you can turn wall squats into a game or turn it into or relate it to something fun, like a movie character or a book character or just anything that makes that activity engaging for them, they're more likely to do it. Okay, so heavy work. Also deep pressure. So deep pressure could be like anything like weighted blanket, they have like weighted neckties, just anything of like substance and weight that would be some pressure on their bodies. You could also do, I've done like bags filled with beans or bags filled with rice, any of those things, and you can even change the temperature of those. Granted, you make them microwavable, safe. You could throw them in the freezer or throw them in the microwave, and they're either hot or cold, so they've got the temperature change on there as well as the pressure. Also, anything that would be considered calming. So I think of like stress reducing things. So maybe like putties or kinetic sand, or water is naturally calming. So whether they see it or they feel it or they play in it, sensory table with water, pools, summertime, now's a great time to get them into water, into the creek, wherever is safe. And breathing. Breathing is a very obvious calming form of sensory motor technique. So trying to embed deep breathing or big breathing into their daily routines as well. You can also do anything tactile, so anything they can touch, anything texture. So, I mean, I'm like looking at my house and like, there's so many things of texture you can touch. Like I've got this red rock. It's like a rock, but it's got texture to it. Actually, it's kind of gritty. And I've got plants and soil, and like they could garden or plant seeds, or the grass is grounding. The grass has texture. I mean, carpets, any type of fidget that has sensory texture to it, any type of ball that has texture to it, just anything at all that they can tactile to. I mean, food is such an amazing way to get that tactile input. Make sure that their day is filled with so many different levels of like touch and feel and textures. You can also work on waking the muscles. So waking the muscles would be like massage, and there are actually some really awesome child-friendly massage techniques online. So if you search like children's massage on Pinterest or Google, they'll show you all types of techniques and places to do different massages for different parts of the body for kids that make it more fun and engaging for them. You can also do, like, they have those, you can get them at Amazon, Dollar General, but they are these plastic pieces that roll on your legs, and they actually wake up your muscles. So it's really known to kind of loosen up your muscles, but also wakes them too. And you can also do a foam roller as well, and I think Dollar General has them for like maybe $5, and there are different videos on YouTube that you can watch that teach people how to use foam rollers. So you can teach the kids how to use a foam roller. If they're wiggly, give them outlets for movement. So exercise balls, they can bounce on them, swings. They have these little like air-filled seats or gel-filled seats that kids can sit on and move around on. Even like in the exercise section of, again, Dollar General, Amazon, they have these textured air-filled balance. They're muscles, tactile input, calming techniques, deep pressure, heavy work, and let's do 2 more. You could do hand-eye coordination. So any type of thing that would be like an OT-related button, zipper, clasp, even like Velcro. I even think of like target practice, and that's one of the ones I listed in the blog, was like creating a target where they squirt a water bottle or a squirt gun at, or throw mud at, like throw balls at, like that hand-eye coordination, or just even back and forth tossing games. Anything that ties their hands to their eyes and their body and movement all together. And we'll end with anything that is stress reducing that would also be sensory motor. So I think again of things that are squishy or stretchy, whether that be like kinetic sand or a stress toy or a fidget or a spinner, and anything that they can chew on that's appropriate, whether it be like a chewy toy that's an appropriate toy for chewing, which they make on Amazon. Just make sure that you definitely get one that is appropriate and safe. And they also have like, or you could do any type of chewy, crunchy food, because it activates the jaw muscles and it is very calming to the body. So if they can suck on something, you can even have them like suck yogurt up a straw, blow, chew, crunch, and humming. humming or singing is also really calming as well. So a whole bunch of ideas for you there. It gives you like a massive toolbox to begin with. So pick a few of those, put them in a toolbox, practice them, try them out, see which ones your kids respond well to, and then tuck them away and keep them. Keep practicing them, keep using them, embed them in daily life, and you will start to see their emotions neutralize a bit faster, and they'll be able to regulate a little bit better. So check out our blog. I'll link it below. But it gives you a little bit more detail on sensorimotor, what it is, why it's important, and some more ideas to try.